Hello everyone, this is my recording, my video on culturally relevant math and why do culturally relevant math. One of the questions I'm going to ask you at the end of all of this is this something that should be included in a methods class? I have always included it in a methods class, but if you research culturally relevant math or ethnomathematics, you will likely not find many articles written before the year 2005 or 2004. I've included one article that's 2015, but that is what I could find on the with Google searches and searching the National Teachers of Mathematics website. So if it ain't on that website, I figured it isn't out there. So let's talk about it. In our beliefs discussion board, there were many comments about not being good in math. Now, this was both male, female, cross gender, across ethnicities. While this belief is pretty pervasive throughout the country, it's definitely a misconception. The construct behind culturally relevant math is twofold. One, multiculturalism. Mathematics has been present in every culture throughout history, and mathematics ability has been documented in many cultures. So it isn't just concentrated on one ethnic group or white males. So that's multiculturalism. The other is equity, which really talks about that everyone has the right to gain mathematical power. And there is power in mathematics. I know as a teenager, I had access to many different colleges because I was good in math. And that's basically how I got a free education, by attending the Coast Guard Academy, because they put more weight on your SAT math scores than anything else in their admissions process back then. I don't think they do that now, because they're looking for a much broader type of individual now. But it did open a lot of doors for me, and it also gave people the impression from an early age that, hey, I was intelligent because I could do math. Saying that you can't do math or transferring that belief system to your students, especially at an early age, is very, very detrimental. These two principles may seem obvious, but too often I hear comments that women are not good in math and science, or that some ethnic group has a math gene. I'm sure you all heard that. We need to break through this kind of stereotypical thinking, especially beginning at an early age. So that's a shout out to all you pre-K through second grade, third grade teachers. The love or dislike of math starts very early. In some of our discussion boards already, or in some of our comments that I've read on double entry journals, is that pre-K kids come in saying, I'm not good at math. How the heck do they know that? One of my favorite quotes about this topic is from the D'Ambrosia article, and I think I have it up here. An important component of mathematics education today should be to reaffirm, and in some instances to restore, the cultural dignity of children. That's a pretty powerful comment there. That's something that I want to use. I'm not big on cutting and pasting quotes, as some of you have discovered already, but there are times when a quote really brings about something you want to say, and you can't really say it in this powerful language. So that's when you would use a quote. In this week's discussion, we will be examining the topic of culturally relevant math and what it means and why it's important. And if you can find strategies in either the articles that I've shared or articles that you found, please find articles this next session. Because this is important, because I've been searching, and so if you can find culturally relevant math activities, especially that apply to local communities, not necessarily ancient history, ancient cultures, but is to local communities and to local cultures. Please share those on this discussion board. When I think of this culturally relevant math, I think back to when I was a high school principal and the multicultural club that we had as an extracurricular activity. The big event for the group was a dinner where either Mexican, Chinese, or some other ethnic groups' food was served. Granted, it was served by someone in our community that they created, but cultural relevance goes much more beyond dress, what they wear, what they eat, and that's typically what we think of. Oh, if I use as in the article, one of the articles this week, they talk about adding sombreros. Okay, that's really not a culturally relevant activity. So, we want to get away from that and go into and explore the culture and the math and the history of math that made these cultures so powerful. To me, one of the biggest reasons for having multicultural units or the beginnings of units is to break through the kind of thinking that includes statements like, quote unquote, my people don't do math. I read a story once where a Latino student said this to his teacher, who then gave a brief history of the accomplishments of the Mayan culture, which was really eye-opening. The student was in awe. My ancestors did all that, he said. So you see that there's a reason to expose students to the cultural history of mathematics. Plus, it's interesting and maybe more so than doing calculations without any context. If you want an eye-opener, look at Figure 2 in the Hatfield chapter. And I think that, let me see if I can get that up here. This is on page 2021, where it goes through all these different areas of mathematics and where you can find them in history throughout the course of world history. So take a look at that and you'll say, whoa, I didn't know that. So just something I wanted to kind of direct you to so you maybe can mention it in our discussion board or bring our attention to it. So this topic doesn't just include ancient history, but also the local culture where students spend most of their time. I included the Ruble chapter, and I think I have it here. Yes, this is the Ruble chapter that talks about centering the teaching of mathematics on urban youth. And if you scroll through, I mean, you'll notice that this is the graphic that I have starting this presentation, but you need to scroll through this part because she's talking about professional development she did until you get down here to where she starts talking about mathematics of community, maps of communities, refining and extending the study of community, and taking a math walk through communities. I thought that was very interesting. So check that out because culturally relevant math isn't just about different cultures, the ancient Egyptians or the Mayans or the Native Americans. It's also about what's going on in communities and how you can make math relevant. And she talks about doing it for high school students. And I know we have one or two high school teachers in every class that I get, but typically we focus on elementary and preschool in this graduate school programs. But you can see how you can take some of these really relevant topics about the minimum wage and about people's incomes and graphing those and things of that nature, and moving it down to the elementary and middle school, early middle school level, to make some mathematical subjects or lessons starting out with their local community. You don't have to stay there, but to get that hook. lots of times we have to get that hook to get kids, what's in this for me? Why should I even listen to you? And using their own communities is going to perk them up and say, whoa, what do you know about the local bodega in my community? And so great way to get kids hooked on different math topics. So she talks about a cure project, and she prompts teachers to center mathematics instructions on students' experience and to develop students' critical consciousness with mathematics. So check out that section on community walks and reflect on it in our discussion board. So bring that into our discussion. Can you translate this for a middle or elementary school class is my question. And does it make math more relevant? Lastly, I included 2 articles by culturally relevant math guru Claudia Zavlaski. You can see there's one here on exploring world cultures and math, and magic squares. And then there's a third article. This is the most recent article I found on culturally relevant mathematics. And it's about lacing together mathematics and culture. It's about the author teaching Native American children on a reservation, I believe, and using a lesson on making moccasins to teach students area and perimeter and concepts geometric concepts that they need to know. So talk about making it relevant. So that's what I'm trying to convey in this lesson. And Claudia Zaslavsky has passed away since I first started teaching. She was alive when I first started teaching on culturally relevant math. But these are 2 articles back in the early 2000s that are still relevant. And she talks about QUIPAs and different activities that you can use with students that may make math more relevant to them. So I'm really interested in this discussion board and getting your opinions about culturally relevant math, whether you think it's something that would make math more relevant to students, and if it should be part of this math methods class. So I look forward to hearing from all of you and reading your discussion board posts.